Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And as the pros still can't practice Modern Warfare 2 because the game is broken, it's starting to boil over and people are getting really annoyed. Dashy reckons he might go back to Valorant, and even Hex has revealed that what he's seen behind the scenes with the CDL and Activision in the last 3 years has certainly been disheartening. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Octane got his name on the side of the 100 Thieves compound here alongside Kenny and Sunday as well, so pretty cool stuff from the old school Call of Duty guys. Well, even to the present day, they won the World Championship at LA Thieves just last year. Quick update here from Trek because the CDL mosh pit is delayed. Now, we think that possibly the reason why the CDL rule set has been removed from custom games is the same reason why the mosh pit has been delayed, because there's some sort of like equip glitch where you can just equip anything anyway, even with the CDL rules in play, which obviously they need to fix because otherwise what's the point of the CDL mosh pit? So they're still working on this track. They remain hard at work at the issues. So I don't know how long this is going to take to fix, but look, they're a few days late at this point, and the pros are honestly really getting annoyed right now, and you can understand why. The fact that they can't even practice. Like, how many times have we seen it in Call of Duty past where the pros can't even practice the game for a few days at a time? Like, it's a rare occurrence. It happens on occasion where the servers go down and they have to chalk 1 day of scrims, but for the game to be broken and they can't play for like 3-4 days in a row is honestly crazy stuff. And as Drazah says, can't even play the game. So look, they could maybe play Warzone if they wanted, but that might not be so fun. They believe, at least certain pros have different opinions on that. And custom games are still bugged. They can't get in a lobby to play with their scrim partners. So what are you going to do? Infinity Ward have actually realized this is an issue, in fairness. Now, it's kind of difficult to say whether they realize the custom game lobbies are an issue or exactly what's going on. But as Crow says, day 3 of limited scrims, private match is still broken. So maybe you can occasionally get into a lobby, but it's not great. The game crashes, like private matches don't really work properly. The season starts in 2 weeks. The Challengers Cup was meant to be in just a few hours time after this tweet from Crone, and the mosh pit nowhere to be found. And yes, they have put on their Trello board, they've added this card to known global issues, saying yes, we are temporarily disabling CDL settings in private matches. So they must know this is an issue, and whether this aligns with the whole private match bugs, I don't even know, but it's just madness to me that there's not more communication about this. Like, as Gunner says, bro, if they don't cancel this cup, I'll be mind blown. There's no shot you'll be in round 1 until Monday, right? And Slasher reckons we've got another 2-3 days of this, and who knows when it's going to be fixed, because that's the mad thing to me. We have no announcement, no confirmation, no discussion with the developers. They're not even saying, yeah, okay, we're on it, guys, don't worry about it, we're going to get it sorted. It's like, we just have to wait and see what's going to happen. It's actually madness. And I can kind of understand this lack of communication if the CDL didn't exist, if the CWL even for a few years ago didn't exist. If we were back in 2012, 2013, and the devs are like, yeah, custom games are broken, but we're not really giving you any updates on it, fair enough, the scene doesn't even exist yet, it's super grassroots. Now we've got this $300 million league, and still this is a problem. It's mind-blowing to me. So anyway, they've delayed the Challengers Cup to December the 10th through the 11th. They don't want to do it through Thanksgiving, which I guess makes sense. And they didn't necessarily need to do it now anyway. But like, does this not happen every year where some Challenger Cups are getting delayed? And it's not always that the CDL's fault, really. Like, this isn't the CDL's fault. But you can certainly argue that the relationship between the CDL and the developers and the game designers should be much better to prevent this stuff from happening. So you can, put the responsibility where you think it should be. But Challengers Cup 3 is going to get, scheduled later. And then the Major 1 regional qualifier has been expanded to 64 teams. So I guess because they don't have enough time to kind of narrow players down because of the Challengers Cup, they've got to figure things out sooner than that, because, like, look, December 10th through the 11th, they've got to figure out which 4 amateur teams are going to go to the Pro-Am before then, because the Pro-Am starts on the 15th, I guess. So they've got to make sure that they've got enough time to do flights and all this type of stuff. So yeah, I don't know when the regional qualifier is even going to be for the Major 1 Pro-Am, but I guess they're going to have to do it before Challengers Cup number 2 now, which was going to be a different story, which means that seeding from that cup is now going to be increasingly important, I guess, from the first cup, where we talked about some drama with pro points and stuff as well. It's been absolute madness. So yeah, no one is really having a good time at the moment. And even as Parasite says, and I think he's bang on the money, the entire competitive community is one shot no stim right now. No updates, no communication, nothing. Like, as I say, all we get is from Crow, the fact that they added this to a Trello board, and it's not even the pro match bug issue, it's the fact that there's no CDL rules in custom games. You can't even play the game from a competitive perspective. The CDL don't say anything. They just tweet out about their, new hashtag they've got going. It's like, lads, the game was meant to start in 2 weeks here for the competitive stuff. Like, okay, I'm sure it'll be fixed by then, but seriously, like, if it gets fixed a few days before and the pros have basically no practice time before the actual first event, like, it's absolute chaos right now. And even as Marky B says, guess it's another day by the pool with no scrims. Absolutely fuming, he says. Okay, look, he's enjoying life by the pool, fair play. But I mean, what else is he meant to do, I suppose? So, yeah, okay, they get a few days off here because their game is unplayable. They just can't do their jobs. But the pros want to practice, right? And we see this in the likes of Slasher, as he says here. I've never wanted to scrim without red dots on the minimap so bad. Like, it's funny the fact that the pros not long ago were complaining about the red dots and, you know, the footstep audio, right, which is obviously not a good thing as well. And now he comes out and says, well, actually, I'm kind of down to play that because I just want to play something, right? It's better than nothing. It's almost like Infinity Ward saw the feedback and the pros not liking certain aspects of the game and said, yeah, you're not playing it at all. How do you like that? Even it seems Scrappy's kind of willing to take on some fines to get this over the line, as he says, how much I got to pay someone to fix this game? It's an absolute joke. And he says, 100 reckons fined. If I get fined for trying to play a game that's my living, then screw it. All of us players just deal with this BS every year. When is it going to stop? Good question here from Scrappy, right? When is the tide going to turn, if ever at all? And look, we've got to deal with Infinity Ward for 2 seasons. Then we get a tryout game probably for 2 years as well. But man, it's going to be a long couple of years off the evidence of the first couple of months here. Well, really only first few weeks, to be honest. Even Arcitys says, need a Fortnite scrim, no build, let me know, because what else are they meant to do, right? And even I think Dashy went on to say, because he said the other day, Warzone's so mid, don't want to play that. And I think even Formal played like 1 or 2 days of Warzone and is now straight back to playing Overwatch in his off-season in the Halo world. And then he goes on to say, yo, what about VAL, right? So, I mean, yeah, you can't really blame Dashy for wanting to play something else. Now, I don't know if Dashy actually did uninstall Valorant, because I know that Scump was telling him to, like, look, I uninstalled Tarkov, you should uninstall Valorant to make sure that we're fully locked in for this season. But it's like, how can you expect to be locked in when you're missing days of practice? Like, I don't blame Dashy reinstalling or re-downloading, or it probably was never uninstalled, let's be honest here, Valorant, and he's getting back on the grind in Val. But it's like, you can't really blame him necessarily, because what else is he meant to play? He wants to do something, and he can't play competitive COD, so I guess it's time to take a couple of days off. It's not good looks for anyone, to be honest, certainly not the CDL. Now, Hex has also given his thoughts on this. There was a podcast he did yesterday, not really about this specific topic, but just in general, the feelings around the league. And I thought one point he made was very interesting, that he was really frustrated, I think understandably, based on what he had done and what OpTic had done for Call of Duty over several years, the fact that they also had to pay the same amount of money to get in. It's kind of like in Formula One, the kind of legacy teams, the Ferraris, the Williams, like these type of teams, they'll get like, preferential treatment. They get paid a certain amount of money, in part based on their legacy and tenure and what they've done for Formula One in the past, and they kind of get credited with that up to the present day. The fact that like Hex's buy-in, let's just say, wasn't discounted is kind of absurd to think about if you think about it, really. You've got these billionaires coming through, they can pay the 25 million to get into the league, but Hex has got to fund that money himself, despite the fact that without him, this league never even exists in the first place, more than likely. So, that's why the questions are raised there by Hex, and he's not happy about that, and he can understand why. But after sorting everything out, getting it to work through NRG, then coming back to OpTic Texas, with Envy, like, okay, he made it work, and now he's kind of in these conversations the last 3 years, and is, in his words, very disheartened by what he hears, right? We've even heard before that Hex has said, you know what, he doesn't even bother going to some of these meetings anymore, just because they never really take any feedback on board or never really action anything that, the CDL teams actually want to see done. So yeah, in his words, it's pretty disheartening what he sees behind the scenes, and this is just one further example of exactly that.
Because of the decision that Activision made back then, I was I was put in a position where I had to get investment, not be the sole owner anymore of my company that I blood, sweat, and tears into it. After building Call of Duty, for helping build Call of Duty for, call it, a decade, then they decide that I have to pay to still continue to participate. And people, the mega billionaires that can afford to they got a spot, but not Hector, who has sacrificed, not Hector who has invested, not Hector who has made this thing his life. He doesn't get to participate because the money's not there. I don't care. They didn't give that OpTic was going to sell more skins than whoever billionaire that owned whatever it was going to be, right? They didn't care about that. They didn't care about whether or not this billionaire was going to bring an audience that was going to keep this alive. They didn't give a fuck about that.
That's crazy.
But I had to make those decisions because I wanted to continue to participate in that, and not because of the game, and not because by then we were more than just a Call of Duty team. We were more than just a Minecraft team. We're personalities on YouTube.
Culture.
When I was sort of put into this position, and then to sort of like experience what I've experienced in the last 3 years of this league, it's a little bit disheartening, if I'm being honest. It's a little bit like once you look behind the curtains. you know, it's not a nice world to operate in.
So what could the CDL pros and teams actually do about a situation like this? The game is currently unplayable for the pros. There's no interaction from the developers. There's no feedback from the CDL on this. Like, the communication between the devs and the CDL is just non-existent. And look, I don't know what contract the teams signed when they signed up to pay this $25 million. I know there has been some talk about, could there be any legal ramifications here? Could, you know, the teams come together and say, hey, you guys in our contract said that we would have XYZ, and you know, we have enough evidence, we believe, based on what you promised us when we signed the $25 million deals, that you've effectively been negligent to our profits, etc., based on not aligning certain features with what we want to actually see from the game. Because, you know, it was kind of promised when the CDL came around, like at least it was heavily implied that, yeah, franchising will allow the CDL and the developers to be more in tune. There'll probably be like a CDL competitive team in the developer team that will focus on that part of play, make sure that it's all good, make sure that the pros' feedback is heard and received, and it's probably worse now than it's ever been. And yeah, I'm sure that's kind of one of the reasons why Hex feels pretty disheartened of what they try and do for this league and try and take it forwards. But like, you know, it's only going to stagnate when they don't put in the intention to try and make it better. So look, if the teams came together and said, look, we're not paying you any more money, because the thing is, the $25 million they're meant to pay, most teams haven't paid anywhere near that amount of money yet. It's in installments over years. And if they can have like a reasonable legal backing to say, you know what, we're actually not going to pay it for the time being, then maybe Activision have to do something, right? But I don't know if that's actually going to happen. The other thing is like the pros players union, because I know that people have talked about this here, that the pros should come together and make a players union. Clay says here like he wishes it was that easy to just make a players union and the players would agree to it. And even if they did, like, what would they actually do? This is the thing, like, what power would they actually have even if there was a players union against the CDL? It's like, you know, Activision and Infinity Ward are just going to be like, well, if you don't want to play the game, unlucky, I guess, we'll just have to cancel the league. I mean, what are they actually going to do about it? I don't know if they really care that much for this to even take effect. And even if they do, then, you know, can you actually get the pros to agree? Because we've heard in the past about players unions, pros, I don't know if it was Clay, but, you know, some other pros tried to make it happen, and then they needed some signatures, and they needed some replies, and then no pros bothered replying, or like they needed someone to take it to the next level, and it just wasn't going to happen. I mean, yeah, it's difficult to get these pros to turn up to an interview on time, let alone form a players union on their own. But if there was miraculously a players union, what power would they have? I saw this tweet from Panda I thought was quite interesting. Hear me out. What if we played Black Ops 4 this season? So, you know, that was always be the thing, right? You know, you go year by year. Obviously, the CDL is going to determine what game you play, because they want you to play the game that actually is going to give some advertising for the title. But look, if the CDL pros made their own call, who knows? Could they go back and play Black Ops 4? Could they go back and play Cold War, right? Because if the CDL didn't exist, maybe that's what the pros would have done if it was their choice on what games to play. And even as Attach goes on to say here, Shotzzy, let's get back on Apex. So look, we don't know when this is going to be fixed. We don't know what the further implications are, but yeah, absolute madness to me. The pros still can't play the game. When is this going to be fixed? We don't know. The pros have to play something else for now. They get a few days off their job, which I suppose is kind of nice in some ways, but also they want to get ready for Major 1. It's a very important major to kick off the season, and the teams, the practice that they did have is now going to stagnate quite significantly. And also, the game has changed. The footsteps are different, the weapon balancing is different, and they just don't get a practice on it yet. So I don't know when this is going to be fixed. The Challenges Cup has been delayed. It's an absolute shambles. You know, what is new, to be honest? Is it really a massive surprise? Just to finish out with this as well, the highest KD at each World Championship. Swanee tops the lot with Black Ops 2 at 1.44, Crimsix in Ghost, Clay in Advanced Warfare, Formal in Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare at 1.44 as well. World War 2 Formal also had the highest KD on LG with a 1.36, despite I think they placed top 6 that event. So kind of crazy that the lowest is actually Attach in Modern Warfare 2019 with a 1.15, way lower than anything else we've seen in COD history. But very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.